All right, so today's topic we're diving into is going to be the handoff. So since this is your first call with us, Yasmin, this is kind of like a little training. It's a mastermind. We make it interactive. It gets fun. It's all sorts of things rolled into one. Since it's a nice small group today, I want to ask questions. Since you are newer to EXP, and there's probably people watching this who are also newer, I want to start with just a quick overview recap of like, this is the format I've always seen over and over and over of how people have been able to attract agents. Like Scott, you tell me, I want you to jump in, tell me, are you using this basic flow? Mark, Craig, you guys have done some agent attraction. Let me know, do you use the same flow? Every single person I've ever seen uses the same basic outline, which is step number one is you make a list. You got to have a list of people. This is like any sort of prospecting, buyers, sellers, recruiting agents, make a list. And I'm going to do this in like 2 minutes or less. Step number two is you got to start reaching out to the list. Surprise, surprise, right? You make phone calls, send text messages. You had made a comment before we went live here that, you know, you did a webinar and people were already curious about like, hey, you know, they saw you made a switch to EXP. When you first switch, you want to leverage that energy because you have people who follow you, who look up to you, who go, what's going on? And over time, you will continue to get some people that just reach out to you and are curious. And the thing we talk about today, the handoff, is going to be perfect for what to do next. So after you reach out to them, all you want to do is open a loop of curiosity, right? So you make a list, you reach out to them. There's 1,000 different scripts, 1,000 different ways you can reach out to them. You can have them watch a webinar, you can have them talk to a real person. But before you can do any of that, you got to open a loop of curiosity. When you just switched to EXP, that there was enough to open the loop of curiosity. Like, okay, what's going on? I've heard of this company. Why did my friend switch? As time goes by, you have to do more if you want to make this an act like a big income stream, Scott, if you found this, you got to be a little more proactive in reaching out to people to open loops of curiosity. You might call them, you might text them. So we have some other recordings. You can go to titaniumagents.com. Titanium, I'll type it in the chat. Titanium, if I can never, I don't know why we chose titanium agents because I can never spell it, right? Titaniumagents.com. Did I spell it right? Let's see. There's a definite correlation between lack of spelling ability and higher intelligence. I don't know if you guys knew that. Right. But the worse you spell, the smarter you are. Yeah, I spelled it right.
I like that. I like that, Jesse.
I always say that.
I must be super intelligent then.
Exactly.
too.
Yeah, so you can go back and look at old episodes, but we're going to put together some more formal training. And if anybody wants more organized training, there's some guys and some women that have already put together some pretty phenomenal step-by-step training I can give you to go deeper there. But once you start reaching out, you maybe have them watch a webinar. Like you said, you did your own webinar, which is incredible. Okay, there's some good reasons why you'll want to do your own webinar and some reasons why you'd want to leverage a pre-recorded webinar like the Model Explain. I'm assuming everyone on the screen has watched the modelexplain.com, Brent Go's webinar. And as a side note, this has nothing to do with the handoff, but do you guys know why you'd want to use that webinar versus doing one yourself? Okay.
For me,
I might mess up the numbers or something, and somebody will say, "No, you told me it was this much for your second level, but it's this much," or something like that.
Okay, so part of it's getting it right. Absolutely. That to me is not the number one reason. That is definitely one reason why. You get all the facts right when you have a recording. Why would you want to leverage a webinar versus doing it live yourself, like a pre-recorded
stuff? Number one, Brent goes awesome, but number two, the leverage. You're not doing it yourself.
Oh, I didn't think about that. So, see, Craig's an entrepreneur. It absolutely is leverage. But in terms of leverage, I usually like to watch the webinars with people. I rarely send a link. If you're going to blast out a link and say, hey, check out this webinar, you want to make sure that people triple commit, right? They say, hey, if I sent you a webinar that could potentially really dramatically impact your business, would you be open to watching it? Yes? Cool. That's the first commitment. So do you think you'd have time to watch this short webinar between now and say tomorrow, right? Yes? Okay, great. So then watch that webinar and then I'll go ahead and here's your homework. When you watch it, write down anything you like about it and any questions you have, and then we'll talk about it. Then let's set a time for you and me to talk tomorrow, and you'll have watched the webinar by then. Sound good? That's the third time they've now agreed to watch it. They're much more likely to watch that webinar. The problem is you go into chase mode, because I like to just say, hey, let's set a time. We'll jump on Zoom. I'll share my screen. We'll watch it together. Yes, there's not as much leverage. So if someone like Craig, who's literally in his car selling 3 houses during the course of the next 40 minutes, he's just on his game, he's going to leverage. He's going to send a link and he's going to talk to him later. I like to take my time and watch it with them. It just depends on how busy you are and what you find works for you. All right, so the real reason that you want to do this, and I'm trying to figure out if I can share this on my screen. Hold on, let me zoom it in so you can't So you can't see anything that's perfect. All right, you cannot see any information about this person here. Let's see here. I'm going to scroll in so we can't see anything about this person. Boom. All right, let me share my screen. Check this out, guys. This is not reason number one why you do not want to just do the webinar yourself every time. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Do you see I don't want to blank 1, 2, 3, 4?
Yep.
Someone read out loud number 2.
I don't want to do presentations like the one you did.
Boom. Okay. The gentleman who received this is a baller. Craig Chastain knows him. It's actually Craig's sponsor who received this email. Okay. Craig's sponsor, who used to be a coach with Tom Ferry, Elite Plus. Like he's a very high producer, well-spoken guy. He probably gave a fantastic presentation. And this person who watched it thought to themselves, I could never do what you just did, nor do I want to. Oops, you were so good that you just made them think they can't do what you do. Okay, that's why we like to leverage, even if you are good. I've gotten so good at giving the presentation, I will still use the webinar a lot of times if I'm worried the person's not gonna feel comfortable doing what I did. With that said, Yasmin, if it's really close friends or people you know, do it live. It's always better to do it live. When you get good at it, you are always better. You can answer questions. It's not a presentation. You make it a conversation. Like, I'm not saying you have to use a webinar, but just know if you're going to do it live, make the disclaimer. By the way, you don't have to learn what I just did. You never have to learn to do this. We have a recorded version of this, goes through everything. I just like talking through it, but I can do it for you, or you can use the recorded version, but here you go. Does this make sense, guys? And this will transition now to our topic for the day, which is the handoff. This is crucial. It took me 6 months at this company before I learned this, guys. And I screwed it up. And do you know why I didn't learn this? Because I'm independent and I think I'm really good at what I do and I'm stubborn and I don't need anybody. And I was an independent broker for 14 years and I'm not going to wait around, blah, 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 blah. Like all these things went through my head. And I tried to do it by myself. How many of you on camera will admit to being a lone wolf sometimes?
All the time.
You ended up being as successful as you are in business. And those of you watching the recording, if you can't see them, they all put their hands up, okay? You ended up being as successful as you are in business because you didn't wait around for other people to do stuff for you. And you've learned that if you wait for them, they're going to let you down, right? Haven't you found that out from the world over and over? You have to unlearn that because in this particular case, you need to learn the personalities of your EXP organization. Everyone on this call has a slightly different organization. All of us are connected to the same overall group, but there might be people watching this recording that are in totally separate organizations. There's 30,000 people at EXP. And it's to do a good handoff, it starts with learning who are your business partners. So at everyone in EXP, hopefully you know this, you have 7 business partners. You actually have more than that because the people even above them are still incentivized in a way to help you. Like how many of you guys know that you're connected to Brent Gove? Okay. Do you know what level you are for Brent Gove relative to you?
I think I'm 11.
Your Brent Gove's 11th level.
Yep. And he still helps me all the time.
And do you know why Brent Gove would help you even though you're on his 11th level?
Because it helps his level 5, 6, and 7.
And because it puts pressure. Also, at a core, let me just say on record for Brent Gove, he's just the nicest human being on the planet. And
True.
He would help you if he had 0 financial gain. That's just how he is. But from a financial standpoint, he helps you because even though you're on his level 11, if someone's on a level 6, they don't get paid on the revenue share that people that you bring in, Scott, unless they brought in X amount of people. So it's putting pressure on the people above you to go bring in more frontliners, and it helps everything grow quickly. So there's none of this, I'm only going to help the direct person I sponsor, or I'm going to help their person, or there. Anyone who's connected to you in any way, shape, or form, just help. Don't worry about the levels. Don't go crazy because it's all going to come back. The people you want to help are the people that are engaged, that you show trying to learn, that are putting energy on this. So when we start doing, you'll hear the handoff, the other term for that is a 3-way call. The reason you yourself want to be on these 3-way calls, even though there's not much leverage, right? You're going to sit there on mute, you're going to listen to someone else do a 3-way call. You want to be there so you can learn to do these calls and how that person says it so you can do them for the people that are below you in the organization. Does that make sense? It's not about, by the way, it's not an MLM. It's not like the people below you are going to make more money. You're going to make more money because you're at the top. I routinely make more money than my sponsor. Mike Bjorkman, who just joined the call, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Mike Bjorkman. Yay, driving somewhere from a beach. on vacation, gracing us with his presence. We love you, Mike.
What's up?
He really is on vacation, like, I don't know, 24 days a month right now. But he'll still jump on. So here's my organization, just so you guys know it. My direct sponsor is Brent Conley. And if you go back to Titanium Agents, in case you're in our organization, you can see a call we did that literally had all 7 people from me up talking about their superpowers and who they are, their personality. And it's such a cool call. So you can go back and look at that on Titanium Agents. So my direct sponsor is Brent Conley. If you want to write this down, if you're at all in this line, Brent Conley's sponsor is Mike Bjorkman, the guy who just said, what's up, who's on vacation 24 days out of the month. He really is, but he'll get on Zoom calls from vacation, clearly, right? He'll talk to people for you on vacation because he's like me. We don't stop. We are so committed to helping you succeed at agent attraction. It hurts. Agreed, Mike? He's smiling. All right, turn his picture off. All right, he's smiling now. Cool. So, like, we don't sleep. We talk late at night, early in the morning about like how we can help you guys succeed and attract agents easier. Mike sponsors a guy named David Golden. David Golden sponsors a woman named Rosie Rodriguez. Rosie sponsors a person named Rick Jiha. Rick Jiha sponsors Brent Gove. So I'm on Brent's, I think, 6th level. Doesn't matter if I was on his 11th, he would still help me. Because Brent is going to get connected with the people that are the most engaged. Out of 30,000 agents, I want you guys to guess, 30,000 agents with EXP. And if you know this answer, go ahead and say it. I want you to guess. How many percent do you think has attracted at least 5 agents or more? What percentage of agents have attracted at least five people or more?
5%.
2%.
I had 5%. We heard 2%. Anyone else got a guess? 5%. So the answer I've always been told is 5%. Only 5% of our company, as we've grown, that percentage might have even come down. Only 5% have attracted 5 people or more. And it's not because it's hard to do agent attraction. It's because they're focused on selling houses. We're a real estate company first and foremost. And I want you guys to write that down. If you got a pen, if you're not driving, Craig, don't write it down. Commit it to memory. Everyone else, write this down. Mike, you already know this because you taught it to me. We are a real estate company first and foremost. You can put that in any verbiage you want. So for now, just write that down. We are a real estate company first. We are focused on working with buyers, working with sellers. The reason you want to say that is you guys are excited about agent attraction. The light bulb's already gone off for you that you know this is a huge income stream. Probably bigger than ever you're going to get for working with buyers and sellers because there's more leverage here. And the upside is incredible. However, some people you talk to, they won't believe that yet. After you get them in the company, after they start to see what they do, they'll start out focusing on buyers and sellers, and little by little, they'll get excited about agent attraction. So we're not going to forget about it, but you're going to come through the front door of what's important to them. You're going to speak to them in the language of their concerns. Same thing you do with a buyer or seller. It's all the same principles, right, guys? So just remember, we're a real estate company first. When you find someone, I did a Zoom the other day. I wish Michael Henry was on this call. I did a call for Michael Henry. He's one of a team leader out of Ohio. He had me on with a woman who was potentially going to join his team, open an expansion in another city. She mentioned in the first couple minutes, my first question whenever I get on a Zoom with someone, who knows my first question? It's not mine, it's Gene Fredericks. Who knows the first question you ask someone?
Tell me about yourself.
That's it. Tell me about yourself. I literally said, Cindy, they've told me a little bit about you, but you know what? I want to hear it from you. Tell me about yourself. And then I shut my mouth and she talked for 10 minutes straight in a good way, like just amazing. Like she just let me know it was perfect. One of the first things she told me was she was a recruiter in a past life. In her early 20s, she was a recruiter in a related industry and she was really good at it. And I asked her, did you like it? She said, I loved it. It's one of my favorite things I've ever done. So I put that in the back of my mind and I waited 15, 20 minutes because we talked about the team first and which direction she should go and learned about what she wanted in her career. I wish I had this recorded. It was such a perfect flow of a recruitment interview. But then I cycled back to the recruitment part. I said, hey, you know, how much have you learned about EXP? She's like, not that much. I said, if you could take what you learned, this is an if I would, could you? If you could take what you learned about recruitment and apply it to your real estate career and make more money than you've ever made with no risk and no liability, right? No. Would you be interested in learning more about that? She's like, yeah. I said, can we spend a few minutes talking about that part of it too? Yeah. And she was kind of interested in the team stuff when we were talking, but she was basically like, I'll do it because I got to make some money and sell some houses. We started talking about recruitment. Who knows body language? She went from this to like, yeah. Like she literally was like, can I just say this? I'm trying not to be too excited, but I'm so excited right now. Like this is it. Within 20 minutes, she knew this is exactly what she was doing. She was all in. So some people you can go there with. Other people, you got to talk more about, they want to make now money because they have only ever known how to how to work with buyers and sellers. And if you start talking about revenue share and cramming it down their throat, they don't even get it yet, right? The people that you talk rev share with, Craig Chastain, when you and I first started talking, I don't know if you can come off mute with what you're doing, okay? He's owned an independent brokerage for years. When we first started talking, what drew you to EXP?
Rev share.
Why?
Because it's freaking awesome. Passive income, baby.
Okay, Craig's a business owner. Craig's an entrepreneur. Like, Craig gets it, right? So when you meet someone like Craig, dive into rev share, 100%. We've got a video called 3 Napkins, which I don't know if you've stumbled upon that yet. This is new stuff to you, 3 Napkins. Gene Frederick does my favorite 3 Napkins ever. That is the video I use first when people want to talk rev share. Everyone else gets the model explained. Okay, so let's get to the handoff here. You've had them watch a webinar. You made a list. You got to open a loop of curiosity. They watched a webinar. If you really are brand new and you can't get them to watch a webinar, you can do a handoff before that. But you are really doing a disservice to the person you're having them talk to have your third party you're going to bring in. You don't want them to be the webinar. You want to leverage a webinar or at least open a loop of curiosity. Or if they don't even care about changing brokerages, there's just something in their world that would help them make a big impact. Like let's say they're trying to sell, a different amount of houses. And one of the people in your some people say upline. I never use that word. It's your support group, your organization, right? Because we're not an MLM. I talk about my business partners. Most of us in our particular organization are all real estate coaches and have been for years. You are welcome to leverage, for me, even if you're not in my line, you want me to talk to someone for you, happy to talk to that person. Yeah, let's say they have a challenge, right? Let's say they're trying to do it, they have a sales thing. Hey, I've been trying to do this marketing campaign. I don't really know how to do a geographic farm. You could use an if I would, could you to set up the handoff, right? Hey, if I could put you on the phone with one of my business partners or with one of my coaches, one of my mentors, whatever word you want to use, that is an expert in geographic farming, right? Has done it wrong, has done it right, just amazing. Would that be helpful to you to chat with them for a few minutes? That's literally an example of a handoff. And if I would, could you statement, right? And then you transition that person to do a coaching call. Now, that person you just set up for the coaching call, they're going to have to do a little more work to bring it around to EXP. It's not a straightforward through the front door sort of thing. So if you set Mike Bjorkman up with a ton of coaching calls, he's going to bring it to EXP, but you're making it a lot harder for him. And he doesn't have the bandwidth to do a ton of coaching calls. Does that make sense, guys? Now, if you want to set up a handoff this way and you say, you're talking, you haven't watched the webinar, this is the homework I give every single time because it sets up a handoff perfectly. I want you to write this down, guys. This is what I say, people, either in an email, in a text, or verbally. Before I send them a link to the model explained or before I watch it with them, I say, Brian, I probably did this with you recently. If you want to come off mute, you can tell me, you can be my testimonial. Did I say this to you literally word for word? Brian, I'm going to send you a link to a webinar. Here's what I want you to do when you're watching it, okay? I want you to write down anything that you like about this webinar, anything that jumps out at you, and write down a list of any questions you have. And then once you're done, we'll get back on, we'll talk, and I can answer any questions. Sound good? Can you come off mute? Brian, did I say that? Let me unmute you. Oh.
I was typing it in word for word.
Did I say that to you word for word?
I think so, but you didn't even have, with me, you didn't even have to, but I think you were getting there.
So guys, that is literally what I say every single time. Mike's got scripts. Mike, if you need to come off mute and chime in anything different, do you say anything different?
Yeah, last week I learned from Rick Jiha a really good script, and I've used it 3 or 4 times already, and it's been magical. He says, watch this webinar, and what's going to happen is it'll answer most of your questions, but you'll come up with 2 or 3 questions, and those are what we're going to focus on when we talk next. And it's perfect. I love it.
I love it. So now you got 2 options, and both of them set up the handoff perfectly. Okay, because when they're done watching the webinar, you want to schedule a time. You always want to schedule a time to talk again. Never go into chase mode. If you're working with a buyer, you're working with a seller, you always want to plan your next step. Always. Never leave an appointment, right? And be like, hey, I'll call you later. We can see if you want to write an offer. Never do that, right? If you're working with a buyer, you're like, cool. Do you think you like the house? It's a good one. Awesome. Do you want me to call you at 5 o'clock or 7 o'clock to look at comps in the neighborhood? Right? You're always going to direct them towards if it is the right house for them. Same thing with this. Don't leave it to chance. Cool. So after you watch the webinar, we're going to talk at 2 o'clock, tomorrow, today, whenever. Do what my script that I said or Mike said. After they agree to it, I will give one other recommendation for watching a webinar. I tell them, hey, this is a Brent Gove script. By the way, who wants to role play this with me? Scott, you want to role play? You're off mute. Okay. So hey, Scott, by the way, are you more of like a coffee tea drinker, or are you like a beer wine sort of guy?
Beer, wine.
Beer wine. Perfect. Okay. And beer or wine, which one?
Wine.
Wine. Okay. So I highly recommend that when you're watching this webinar, by the way, watch it on a computer, not on a phone, because there's some slides in there you're going to want to watch. Put your phone on airplane mode so you can be in a time of day when you're not distracted. Grab a beer, man. Or did you say wine?
Wine.
Wine. Sorry. Grab wine. Red or white?
We'll go red.
Okay, grab red wine, like 7 o'clock at night, grab a red wine, put your phone in airplane mode. You want to do it 7 a.m.? No judgment for me, dude. Whatever you want to do, okay? But 7 p.m., grab a wine and sit back and then make your list of things you like and write down any questions that pop up. The reason I want them to write down what they like is so they're not in the mind frame of tearing it apart. They're in the mind frame of there's always something that jumps out that they like. That's what you're going to focus on. Then when you get back on the call with them afterwards, you say, so what'd you like about it? Or if I play it live, I go, let's just say we finished the webinar, we watched it together. I go, all right, Scott, what'd you like about it?
The revenue share was really cool.
Revenue share, awesome. I love it. We can definitely dive more into revenue share. What else?
I don't know. What is this KV core? I mean, does it really work as well as he says?
Okay, so questions, you have KV core as a question. What other questions you got?
Revenue share. Like how much are you making in revenue share?
It's a good question. Hey, tell you what, I can tell you're excited. I'm going to be totally transparent. I'm newer with this company. I love it. It's changed my life. But instead of me trying to make up answers, I'd much rather have you talk to someone that knows far more about this than I do. And frankly, they've changed my life. This person's amazing. There's no pressure. They'll answer all your questions. If I could get you on a Zoom with them, would you be open to chatting with them? Would that be helpful for you to chat with them?
Yeah, that'd be cool.
All right, cool. And then that's the script for the handoff. You're teeing them up. Right? And if this is recorded, you can go back and listen to it. I can say it 6 more times. It'll come out of my mouth 6 different ways. Mike will come off mute. He'll say it 3 different ways. It doesn't matter exactly the words you use. I want to pause here and answer questions. Does the basic flow of that script make sense? You finish watching a webinar or you finish doing presentation yourself. At some point in time, you could answer all their questions. Like I know how to answer every single question about EXP that ever existed, almost. There's very little, because I'm obsessed. There's very little I don't know at this point, but occasionally I get stumped. I still kick it over to Mike, to Brent Conley, to David Golden, because sometimes a different voice will help validate what you've told them. Sometimes they see me as a peer because they know me, but I can position Mike as this baller. I mean, we all know Mike, come off mute for a minute. I just want to make sure we can defend himself. We all know Mike is no better than me. I'm just kidding. Mike is amazing. Mike is amazing. But I can position Mike, you can go back on mute, dude, I know you're driving. We can position Mike in the mind of the person I'm talking to as a ridiculous god. Or I can position him as a nobody. And it depends on the words I use. Don't ever put baby in a corner though. Don't ever try to position Mike as a nobody. That's not a challenge. But really, it's one of these things that, and I love Mike. That's why Mike has been one of my good friends for a very long time, which is why I'm able to joke with him. So think about how you're going to position this person, right? The term is called edify, edification. It comes from this book that I reference almost every week. Hold on, there it is. There it is, Building an Empire. Brian Carruthers. Brian Carruthers' Building an Empire is the blueprint that almost every single massive person in EXP for Agent Attraction has modeled themselves off of something in this book. If it doesn't duplicate, don't do it. Comes from this book. Edifying a third party comes from this book. He didn't invent these things. He just wrote one of the most complete, organized guides to using them. Who else has read this book? Show of hands. Okay, 2 of you. Brian's already read it. Dude, Brian, what did I tell you? You're going to be a rock star, dude. Brian hasn't even officially joined EXP yet. He's already read the book. Dude, we're going to do such good things together. Love it. All right. I'm not knocking anyone else who hasn't read it. You can get the Cliff Notes or get the audiobook, right? Michael Henry, you've read it, haven't you? No, he said yes. Okay. I was just I swear he's having. Craig's read it too. I'm pretty sure. All right. Mark, you've read it? No. All right. Audiobook it. Audiobook it, dude. Do it now.
Make sure you guys watch at brentgove.com. Make sure you watch Jay Kinder's presentation on agent attraction and how to support your team. He based the entire chat off of the book. And when he was done with that, basically got a standing ovation. So I was very blessed to be in the room when he did it, when that was recorded, but make sure you guys check that out.
I just put it on the screen share, Mike. That was a perfect say. That's a perfect run. This is the Cliff Notes version for that book. So Mark, if you're a busy dude and you're just like, I don't want to read another book or listen to an audiobook, you can get a 45-minute webinar. So I'm on Brent Gove's website. I went agent attraction and then training. So BrentGoveResources.com, agent attraction, the training tab, how to build your organization by Jay Kinder. Click on this. It'll take you to a YouTube link. Looks like this. If it loads, it's a 44-minute webinar. It is brilliant. This is not, guys, a forward-facing webinar. Do not send this to people not in EXP. This is meant for people in EXP to learn how to build your organization. But I have watched that webinar, I don't know, 5-6 times at least. I mean, I watch everything over and over and over. I watch it till I can teach it. And I memorize things really fast, just so you know. I still watch them 5 or 6 times. Like I could probably watch it once and memorize a lot of this stuff because my brain just does that. It doesn't matter. I watch it over and over again. You don't go to church to find your faith. You go to church to strengthen your faith. David Golden told me when I first joined EXP, he said, Jesse, watch this video over and over and over again. That's what I do. That's how I'm doing so well. David Golden, by the way, if you don't know him, he's got like 1,000 people in his organization now, right? 2.5 years later. I'm like, dude, I don't need to watch this stuff over and over. I'm smarter than you. I didn't say that out loud, but that's literally what I thought. I'm smarter than you, David. He's been my business partner for 10 years, best man at my wedding, like a really good friend. And I'm thinking, man, I need to watch this 5 times. I was wrong. I was dead wrong. And it was my own ego and arrogance that got in the way. And I would have learned so much faster if I just gave in, because every single person I've seen just watches this stuff over and over to build that faith, to build that confidence, and to learn how to say this stuff, right? So watch that webinar, how to build your organization. Continue with the handoff. So I'm gonna try Mike Bjorkman. Don Mowry, welcome to the call. I gave you a shout out earlier. I'm gonna mute you out for now.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, I was driving, so I had to be blank there for it, but thank you. And Jesse, if I ask you a question, is this recorded? Because I was driving.
You got really quiet, Don. I can't hear you at all. Say it again.
Can I get a copy of this?
He asked if it was recorded.
Oh, this call?
Yes.
This call is absolutely recorded every single week. The replays are on titaniumagents.com. They're also inside the EXP Pros Facebook group usually, but they're hard to find there. So titaniumagents.com. You can find every one of these we've ever done, including the bad ones. I didn't even know if they were bad ones, but we were really unsure what we were doing with this thing at the beginning. Like, is it a webinar? Is it a mastermind? Is it a show? I don't know. We would just record stuff and put it on iTunes. We're like, is this a bad idea? It's on iTunes as a podcast. We don't promote it there, but we send everyone to titaniumagents.com. Someday we'll figure out what we want to be when we grow up. All right. So the handoff. I'm going to edify Mike Bjorkman. Let's just say Mike, who's in my organization, has something that the person I just talked to, so they watch a webinar, and I'm not setting them up for a coaching call. I've literally made them watch the model explained first, because I know Mike is busy. And if Mike has to tell them the basics of EXP all over again, 1, he's going to shoot me. And 2, he doesn't have the bandwidth to do it. He doesn't. Mike's got 800 people, 600, I don't know how many he's an organization now. But if everybody made Mike do the model explained live to one-on-one to people, he would have no time in the day. So we got to employ leverage. Leverage is so important. Like if you do it by accident, Mike will absolutely go over it. He's a nice guy. But you want to leverage wherever you can. Get them up to the point before you hand them off where they have a basic understanding of EXP. They've finished watching the webinar, or in your case, Yasmin, you did a webinar with them. Now you've done a webinar, they're excited. You get them to the point of excitement and you're not sure where to go. That's the time for the handoff. You get them to the point of excitement, you think, you know what? I don't even want to try to answer these questions because I'd rather have someone else do it. This is the beauty of EXP. If you owned a brokerage, you have to be the recruiter by yourself. Now, you get to hire some of the best recruiters on the planet for free. I could not pay Mike Bjorkman to be a recruiter in my company before I joined EXP. Let's say I did have to. Mike, how much would I have to pay you to do recruitment for my independent brokerage a couple of years ago?
At least $500,000.
Like seriously. No, I mean, you think he's kidding. Seriously, like he runs 4 companies that net $1 million each. Like he's a busy dude. I could not hire him. Plus he wouldn't want to work for me in that capacity. But now we are business partners. Just like I am a business partner with most of you guys. In a loose sense, I'm business partners with everyone at EXP, but anyone in our organization, I'm truly your business partner, okay? Learn who your business partners are and what their superpowers are. I learned early on, and Mike, please take this with a grain of salt. If I have someone who is not really open to EXP and I'm trying to build a relationship with them and I want them to talk about like, you know, a property management company, which Mike runs a property management company, I better be ready for Mike to talk EXP with them, because all roads lead to EXP. All. Mike Bjorkman is very good at that. But if they're very standoffish about EXP and they're not really ready for it, I'm not going to introduce Mike Bjorkman because he will talk EXP. No, you disagree, Mike? No, he's right.
You're
right?
absolutely right. Absolutely right.
I'm absolutely right.
All roads lead-
And I love that about Mike, because Mike is a closer in a way that people don't even know he's closing. He's just so excited and draws people in. So I know when Mike is a good fit for people I'm talking to. He is a high energy personality. He's a high I, but he's also a high D. He's owned a brokerage. Like, I know so much about Mike, so I know who was the right fit for him to talk to. There are certain people that I would not have Mike talk to. One, Mike wouldn't want to talk to them. Two, they wouldn't connect, right? It's just like if you were a listing agent and you had a client who's on the phone with you and you were going to go over and do a listing. You're like, you know what? I don't want to go take this listing because I got this other person that's going to connect with them way better. You still get paid on it by sending the other person, but you don't have to go. It's a leverage. It's better for the client. It's better all around. So Mike Bjorkman's good for, like, I don't know, 90% of the people that want to talk EXP, but there's some people who, Mike, who would be someone who's an example of not a good fit for you to talk to?
Anybody that wants to talk numbers, that's analytical, it makes my skin just crawl thinking about talking to them.
Okay, so Mike is not analytical. I built a spreadsheet the other night. I won't show it to you right now. It's a whole separate call. I built a spreadsheet to analyze EXP versus running an indie brokerage. I built it with formulas and really complicated things, and it's rad. And I will get that tool out to you guys. Don't worry. It's really cool. But I don't know how many of you guys are coming across indie broker owners. We have brought 50 independent brokerages to EXP since the beginning of this year, though, by the way. So put that on your radar. You want some leverage? Go sponsor an indie brokerage. Don't just sponsor one agent. Go sponsor someone who's got 10, 20, 30. I got 2 indie brokerages we're talking to right now. One's got 35 agents. The other one's got 20 agents. That will be 55 agents coming to our RevShare group, and they're both pretty interested. I'm not going to name names, right? But like, there's 1,100 indie brokerages out there in the indie broker network. That's not even all the indie brokerages out there. And most of these brokerages aren't even making money if you back out their own production. So then maybe that's a topic for next week's call, Mike. We'll go back to that. We've done it again. But regardless, guys, just as you're setting up your person, think about who's the right fit in your organization. So if they're analytical and I've already done my thing, I'm going to have them talk to Brent Conley. Brent is one of the best business strategists I know. He is very numbers. He is very like, this is what we do. But if they don't like hunting, and Brent's not here to defend himself, if they don't like hunting and he gets on a Zoom and he's got his big mounted heads on the walls, right? They're a peace loving vegan like me. I might not have him talk to Brent Conley. I do eat meat these days, full transparency. I started eating meat 2 years ago, but I was vegan for 15 years. And I know Brent and I love Brent. And I wouldn't have judged him at all. But there are certain people that are, I wouldn't put him in with Brent. I wouldn't. He's just not a fit personality-wise. Then we've got David Golden. And I don't mean to harp on who these people are. I want you to think about your own organization. So Yasmin, your sponsor is Krista Mayshore. You know Krista. You know who she is. Her limiting factor is time. It's going to be hard to get Krista on with someone unless they're a fairly high producer, but she will. She will absolutely talk to a high producer, broker owner. But you've got an agent that doesn't sell many houses, you might be able to get her on but like, it's just her limiting factor. She's so busy. So with Krista, you're going to leverage her recorded training, her blogs, her success. There's so many things you can do that it's not unlimited access to Krista, because no one should offer unlimited access to anything, guys. You have personal lives. This reason you got in this business is to support your wife, not the other way around. But you can still leverage that, right? Brian, I'm your sponsor, right? You get me on the phone. Dawn, Michael, I'm your sponsor. Like, get me on the phone with anybody. My limiting factor is I will pass out of my keyboard and run out of energy at some point, but I don't sleep much. Other than that, I'm pretty darn, like, these days, I'm pretty all in for, like, Michael texted me the other day. He's like, hey, what are you doing for the next hour? I'm like, I just had someone cancel. He's like, can you jump on a Zoom and do this thing with me now? I'm like, okay. We talked, we just Zoom for an hour, helped recruit someone. Like, it was just a fluke that I happened to not be on anything and had a cancellation. And then you know what I realized later, Michael? I did totally flake on someone. I absolutely had a call. I was double booked at that time. So one person canceled and I totally missed another call with someone that was unrelated to EXP, but I covered for that one. So what questions do you have on the handoff, guys? I'm going to take a pause. You know how to edify someone. You know who to pick the right person. You know how to put them on a pedestal, right? I don't say, hey, Scott, can you role play with me again?
Sure.
Hey, Scott. So what'd you like about the video?
Well, the RevShare sounds awesome.
And RevShare is awesome, 100%. Do you want to kind of dive deeper into RevShare? Is that the most important thing to talk about?
I mean, yeah, that's the main thing that stuck out to me. I mean,
Okay, so if we're going to talk rev share, I like rev share. I'm already making money for rev share, but I think it's going to be a lot better for you to talk to someone who knows more about rev share than me. This dude is a total idiot. He really is one of the most offensive people on the planet, and you're probably going to hate him. Would you mind talking to him?
I think I would mind. Yes.
That is an example of what not to do. I'm not referencing any particular person. Okay, don't do that. That's the opposite of edifying. Now, instead, if you said, "Hey, you want to know about rev share? Tell you what, I'm going to put you on the phone with someone that is, first of all, one of the nicest people on the planet, just the biggest heart." Okay, they are also more knowledgeable about revenue share, the ins and outs, than anyone I know, and they are crushing it in terms of income passively. Okay, they're not a high pressure person at all. They're going to answer your questions, point you in the right direction. Does that seem helpful to chat with them?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Do you guys all want to chat with that person? Right? Nod your head. Don't you want to talk to the person I just described?
Yeah.
Mike, don't you hope I'm talking about you? Like, when you describe it that way, I could have been talking about like lunch and Swiss cheese, right? So you're hungry for lunch right now, right, Scott?
Yeah, actually.
So if I could give you a food that is low calorie, but just the most amazing flavor you've ever had, it won't affect your stomach, nothing negative, but like it is truly one of the best things I've ever tasted. Okay, and it's also pretty cheap too. Would you want to try some of this? Would you want to have a bite?
Let's try it.
All right, cool. Right? This is just persuasion. This is sales, guys. It's all the same thing. It doesn't matter. That's why, and I hate to pat myself on the back. I rarely say how good I am at things, but like I'm pretty good at agent attraction because I understand human dynamics. And I've only just gotten started agent attraction. So watch out, you competitive people. I'm gonna race you to the top of this leaderboard for who can grow a rev share group. Okay? Race me, run with me. Let's do this, let's build it together. But here's the deal. Okay, when you understand these basic things, you don't have to learn a bunch of stuff. It's simple. You're literally learning one thing. How do you get them to watch a webinar? Awesome. You're not getting them to do anything. How do you make them want to watch this webinar? And after they watch it, how do you make them want to talk to your third party? Okay, once they want to do that, now you get on the third party call, you jump on Zoom. I'm going to show you guys my site I have. You don't have to get this systems. You don't have to be this techie, but I am this organized and techie because I like it. So Mike Bjorkman is good with a handoff where you literally just put him on a group text with the other person. Hey, I'm going to send a group text to you and Mike. I'll let him coordinate a time. Cool. It's that simple. Okay. You can do that with me too. However, I'm a little more OCD. So I made this website, which is Calendly. How many of you guys know Calendly? I'm going to type it in the, Scott, can you type it in the chat? CALENDLY.com. So this is a Calendly site. And I actually have a URL redirect. If you go to 3-Way Zoom, look up here at the top, 3wayzoom.com. Those of you who's in my, if you're in my RevShare group, write down the number 3wayzoom.com. It's a redirect right to this calendar page. 3wayzoom.com. You literally have access to my calendar. It'll block off a whole hour. We don't need an hour, okay? So don't put the other person you're inviting on this invite unless you want them to see it's an hour. I always tell people block off 30 minutes. I put an hour on because I know from doing this, if they have a lot of questions, it's going to go over 30 minutes. And I don't like to run into my next appointment. So this is my 3-Way site. This isn't client facing. This is for you guys in EXP to book me to talk to your peeps. Make sense? Mike is good with a group text message. But when you do a group text, you want to be, I don't want to share my phone that quickly because I don't want to slow this down, but like I literally just did this today with David Golden. This is the text message I sent, and I can cut and paste this for you guys or share my screen later. I'm just going to read it to you. Where's the group text I sent? There it is. Okay. I said, David Golden, meet blank. And I'm not going to share it on my screen because I don't want you guys to see who the name this is, but it's formatted with spacing and emojis and it looks nice, but I'll show you a template if you need a training on how to write text messages. Okay. David Golden, and this is a group text to the other person thinking about EXP, and David Golden, who's in my organization. David Golden, meet blank. David, can you set up a time to chat with blank, that's the person's name, about REO, EXP, and how EXP impacts his agents? First name, right, this guy was introduced to me by so-and-so and runs an awesome indie brokerage in this state with this many agents. He was a, and I said a little bit nice things about him. He was a so-and-so, super cool guy. This is why he's awesome. Give a genuine compliment. Genuine compliments go a really long way, guys. You might think Mike laughs at me because my brain is so strategic about every single flipping thing I do. I don't mean to be calculated. I mean, I do. My brain just works this way though, okay? I give genuine compliments because I love people. Like I give compliments because I really mean it. Like I love people. I love you guys and I want you to love me. But I do it consciously in this format of a text message because I know what it's doing to the other person who reads it. Watch, who needs a genuine compliment right now? Who wants to see how this works psychologically? Anyone? Anyone want to admit that? No? All right. Yasmin, you want to come off mute? Oh, you do? Anne-Marie? All right. Mike's wife, Anne-Marie, is with us. You want a genuine compliment, Anne-Marie? Take me off mute. All right, ready? And put Anne-Marie on camera. All right, so
Okay.
Anne-Marie, say hello.
Hi.
Okay, that's Anne-Marie. She's driving in the car with Mike. So Anne-Marie, I just want to say, first of all, you have the heart of a saint to put up with Mike Bjorkman as often as you do. Like, oh, he just disappeared. Oh no, we lost him. Oh, the video just turned off. There you go. But seriously, Anne-Marie, you really do have the patience of a saint. I've watched Mike take text messages and calls in the middle of dinner, and you don't even bat an eye. Okay, you have the patience of a saint. You're an amazing person, and thank you for just having the happy energy and smiling every time you do. Thank you.
Thank you. That's awesome.
How does that feel when you hear that?
I love it. Feels good
Okay.
because it's true.
It is true. It is true. And you can go back on mute if you want, Mike, but like that was genuine, guys. If you want to get better at human dynamics, get better at giving genuine compliments. Like I'm not making that up. That was real. But one of my superpowers is finding something I love about everybody. I just do it naturally. It's how I'm wired. If you hate people, practice that. Get good at that. So when you give this genuine compliment, I say something nice about them, and then I say something back in the format. So it's so-and-so meets so-and-so. Can you set up a time to talk about X, Y, Z, right? Here's background on the potential person joining EXP. Here's background on the person I'm introducing them to. Because I said this all verbally, but they're going to forget. They're doing 16 things at once. I say, David has been my business partner in DS Pros for years. That's our REO networking group, right? He was the best man at my wedding and is one of my best friends. David, I know you're on the road, so let so-and-so know when is good. That's it. I sent the group text. And then David replies, and then I call David immediately, go, David, here's who you're talking to. This is the background. I get him a Marco Polo. Like, when you talk to him, say this, say that. I tee him up. And then when they set a time, in a perfect world, I'm going to be on that call with them to make the introduction. Does anyone know why? Take a guess.
So you can edify Dave Golden.
So I can edify David Golden again. Because it's also nicer if you were at a cocktail party and you wanted two friends to meet, would you point them out to each other and let everybody go talk to each other? Who's done that and it's gone super awkwardly? Okay? Or would you take your friend and be like, oh, you really got to go meet so-and-so. Here, come here. Let me come introduce you. And you say, hey, so-and-so, this is so-and-so. Think about three-way calls like real life. If you've never been to a cocktail party or your memory does not go back far enough before COVID, go watch a movie about cocktail parties. Maybe even Cocktail the movie. No, that's a totally different subject. Never mind. Don't watch Cocktail. Bad Tom Cruise movie. All right. So once you introduce them, you also want to stay on the three-way call to learn how the person you've edified talks about the company. You want to see how they do it. You want to learn their style because early on, I did a three-way call with someone and I'm going to tell a short story. I'm not going to name names because I now love this person and I don't want to throw him under the bus, but he makes a ton of money through revenue share, like a ton. Okay? Don't even guess who it is. You'll never figure it out, right? And this guy was on a call. One of my first EXP people I set up in a three-way call was a friend of mine that owns a brokerage and has 80 agents. How cool is that? And they were literally asking me about EXP. Like they were interested. They were genuinely curious. They might switch their model. They're like, I want to learn about this. So I get them on a three-way call and we all jump on Zoom. And I was given the instructions that when you get on a three-way call, you make the introduction and then you put yourself on mute and you do not say another word. And that is the instructions I'm going to give to you guys. If you're going to do these calls, you got to stay out of the way. Once you make the introduction, literally put yourself on mute and trust in the person that you've introduced. It's why you got to get to know the people above you. And I hate saying above you, but I'm just using that term because anyone who's going to do a three-way call with you, you have to have a level of trust in them. We got 10 minutes, guys. Don't worry. I'm going to pull this all together. You got to have a level of trust in the people that you can go on mute and let them do their thing, that they're going to get there. If you don't feel comfortable, you're gonna bite your tongue, you're gonna come off mute, but I didn't know any of this. So I'm on mute. And the person who's our guest of honor, who we've edified, and they've told him this guy's amazing, is not on video. He is on the road and he's only on phone. How many of you have been on a Zoom call where you had a couple people on video and someone on audio only? It's super awkward. Watch this, I'm shutting my video off. So if I was just like this, right, talking, how compelling is this? How engaging is this? And I knew that this gentleman was not able to see the other people's video because he had called in on the phone. So these two gentlemen who are business partners who are thinking about EXP are asking very specific questions about EXP, how the stock works. Can your stock get, I don't even want to go into it, but they're really detailed stock questions. And this gentleman who knows a ton about the stock and owns a bunch of stock went into presentation mode thinking it was like a very first EXP, like, let me tell you about EXP, wind him up and he's going to go, okay? He missed it. If you could see the body language, I'm watching these two guys get more and more frustrated, and literally like they're going, like, I'm sitting there, like, I don't curse, but I'm literally going, F this. I'm like, I'm on mute. Like, I'm on mute. I'm like texting David Golden, because it's me, David Golden, and someone else who's doing this presentation. And I'm like going, like, I'm coming off mute. I'm dying. Like, he's totally losing him. And like, he totally lost him. He blew it. Like this dude tanked this call so bad. And it has taken me a year to recover from that tanked call. Literally, we are finally recovered because they were just turned off. They're like, no, I'm done. My gate's closed again. I've heard enough about EXP. I'm done. So three-way calls can go badly, okay? I'm not saying don't do them. I'm just saying this took me to learn. And that's why after that call, I said, I'm doing this by myself. F this, I'm on my own. Like, I don't need anybody. I'm never gonna be screwed over by someone like that again. Right? And you know what I realized? It was my fault. It wasn't that guy's fault. It was mine. Okay, have you guys read the book Extreme Ownership? Ever heard of the book Extreme Ownership? If you haven't, write that down, please. Amazing book. There is no power in me blaming that other person. Zero. I can change nothing. You can never change another human being, but I can change myself. And so I looked, what lessons, after I let my anger go, because I was mad for a bit, what lessons can I learn from it? And what I learned was, I need to know the personality traits of the people I'm bringing on the call. I need to make sure they're available and they understand to be on video. If they're not a tech person, I need to know they need to know to be on video, right? I need to know they know the importance of it. I need to know how to position them. I need to know how to set them up. That person, he didn't mean to not answer their questions. He just didn't realize the context. He didn't know we'd had 5 calls about EXP before he got on the call. He just thought he was doing his normal thing, and he's really good at it. But it was the wrong message for the wrong time. So I dropped the ball there. Even if I told him he didn't understand, that's my fault. You guys get this? This is making sense? Okay, so I've learned this all the hard way. So now we can set this up the right way. You're gonna set up the expert. You're gonna edify him. You're gonna get on the three-way call. You're gonna do the perfect introduction. This book, Building an Empire, there it is. The reason I put it in front of my face, by the way, it's the only way to show things on Zoom when you have a virtual background. You got to hold it to your head. It's not like an Indian poker card trick thing, right? It's an actual, right, where you stick the liar's poker, what's it called? It's probably a terribly, I just realized I said that. That's a terribly offensive thing. Never let me say that again. My wife is a social worker. Be like, I guarantee I can't say that name. That's liar's poker. Okay, regardless. Once you set people up, guys, then get the heck out of the way and just let the magic happen. At the end of the call, here's where we tie it together. At the end of the call, always set a next step. I don't care if you're doing your first call with them or if it's a three-way call. Never end the call and say, cool, so I'll call you in a week. Does that sound good? Never, ever, ever set that as the next step. Please, please, if you learn nothing else in this entire hour. You never thought you could get this detailed about setting up a three-way call, did you guys? This is how my brain works, okay? When Mike was like, we're gonna do this as a whole topic, yes, we're gonna do this for a whole topic. And the people who watch this whole call will have dramatically improved results. So you guys who've been here, guaranteed, game changer. You are going to then say, all right, here's your options. Like at the end of the call, if your person who does the three-way doesn't do this, you get back in and you set the end of it. But hopefully the person doing the three-way call knows how to end the call. You're gonna say, here's 3 options. Number 1, and this, by the way, guys, it doesn't matter what the options are. These are my options. You make up your own. I love choices. I love giving people choices. Number 1, you heard enough about EXP? We go back to being friends. I'll never push it on you. You get curious, you let me know. Okay, we can just go our separate ways. But it seems like you might still be interested. And so if you are wanting to learn more, would you rather watch another webinar, or would you want to talk to another person in my organization and kind of get a feel for how the support system is? Which one do you think you want to do? I'll say that again if you're writing it down. I give the option of, hey, I heard enough about EXP, kick rocks. I'm taking the pressure off. Because if they have heard enough, I don't want to force it on them. I'm going to go back to being their friend and stay in relationship. And I know that they're going to come eventually. They will. You just got to stay top of mind. So I take the pressure off, and then I give them the 2 choices I really want them to do. So you notice I don't sell the first option. Pretty please, tell me you've heard enough. I say, if you've heard enough, go back. Cool, we'll go back to being friends. No worries, never push on you. But it seems like you are still curious. Like you're a pretty open-minded person, right? So if you want to keep doing research, no pressure from me. Do you want to watch another webinar? Do you want to come to a live event? You can't say that right now because of COVID, but if we had live events, do you want to come to a live event? Or you want to talk to another one of my support system, right? Get some more guidance. If nothing else, maybe they'll give you some tips for your career, right? What sounds helpful to you? So tailor those options for whatever you think is going to be appropriate to that person, because you want to guide them. It's called an alternative choice close. You only give them options that are equally acceptable to you. Doesn't matter which one they give you, right? if I know that I want them to talk to Mike Bjorkman, I'm not going to give them the option of watching a webinar. I'm literally going to say, all right, look, so you've either heard enough about EXP, and at this point, it sounds like you probably want to keep doing research. Do you want to talk to either Mike Bjorkman, who's run $4 million businesses, and give you a little insight on how you can live a passive income lifestyle, or would it make more sense to kind of dive into numbers with Brent Conley? Which one do you think sounds more appropriate for you right now? You guys get that? I let them make a choice. But there's no choice of, like, there's a choice of don't talk EXP, but there's no choice of like, let me look this over and I'll call you in a week. Okay? I had that this morning. Someone said to me at the end of a Zoom, they said, cool. Like I have listening clients tell me, they said, I'm going to think about it. Okay? Let me just think about it. I'll get back to you. I'm like, dude, totally respect that. I'm not doing a sales technique to you right now, but I am. I literally said this word for it. I'm not doing a sales technique to you right now, but I am. And I really am curious, like, what are you thinking about at this point? You're 4 months into researching EXP. What are we still thinking about? What's on your mind? And he said, I want to know how this impacts the agents at my company, right? Because he's a broker owner. I want to know how it impacts my agents. He said, we dove into it a little bit today, but I'm still processing like this change impacts so many people, not just me. Like, I'm into this, but I want to know how it impacts other people. I said, cool. Would it be helpful if I put you on a Zoom with my partner who used to be a team leader at Keller Williams? He was the #3 team leader at the time for the entire country. He is all about creating value for agents at companies, and he knows how to create that culture, right? He's been my business partner for 10 years. He also knows a lot about REO, right? And so I know we talked a little about REO. So that's David Golden. Would it be helpful if I put you on a Zoom with David Golden? Yeah, let's do it. Cool. And I sent that text I read to you. I'm moving them down the funnel. I'm not leaving this to chance. It's all about when someone gets excited, keep them in excitement, keep them in momentum. Those of you who are having people who are like I've talked to them a few times and just they're not switching over. It's because you're not speaking the language that they hear. You're not talking to their concerns. When you speak directly to what's important to them, right? Like Gene Frederick, who's the #1 recruiter in our company currently. Actually, Rob Flick is, but Gene's pretty close. He has like 10,000 people in his organization. Gene Frederick always says, when I get done with the presentation, there's no objections. They just join. Because I've spoken to all of their concerns before we even get there. I've hit every point that's important to them. So the next logical step is they just join. By the way, when you're giving options, that is the other option you absolutely should give. Not just read your webinar or talk to someone else. Give the option of like, hey, if you're ready to join, like I'll send you a link to the application. Just fill out my name as a sponsor or whoever's name is a sponsor, right? Make sure you give that option. Always give the option to like, if they're ready to go, look, fill out, we'll end here because we've got 3 minutes to the top of the hour. And I'll hang around after the top of the hour to answer questions for those of you guys that have questions. I got another 5 minutes, but this is how we'll end the handoff. Once you tell them, hey, look, you want to fill out the application? That's an option, right? It doesn't commit you to anything. It doesn't move your license to EXP. It doesn't notify your current broker, right? It's just the next step in the process. So filling out the application, actually, that could be the right step for you. Does that feel like, do you want to do that or you want to talk to someone else? I totally forgot. That's really the other option you need to give them. Talk to someone, watch an webinar, fill out the application. And that's really our time. Mike, you were coming off mute. You got something you want to end with?
Yeah, if I do a 3-way for you or anybody else, if you're not on the call, and a lot of times that person's not on the call that set it up, and I just say, hey, listen, Joe, I'm doing this for Jesse. I know he's a friend of yours and set this call up, and I'm going to have to give Jesse some feedback. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1, you're never coming to EXP, and 10, you want to sign up today. Where do you think you're at so I can let Jesse know? And that is always awesome because then you basically told them why you're asking them, and there's really no harm, no foul there. But more importantly, if they say a 7, I go, great. And what can I tell Jesse to talk to you about or help you with that would get you closer to a 10? And they're always going to say, well, I need a little blank, and then I can help close from there again and say, oh, well, I know a little bit about that too. Let me tell you, and then I'll have Jesse explain it when you get back on the phone with him. And then that way, it's always a slam dunk from there. And then in the beginning, you say, what's your business on a scale of 1 to 10? What do you want to improve with your business? And they say, I'd really like help with funnels and info marketing so I can get more clients that way. Fantastic. So-and-so part of our organization is a master at that. Let me at least get you on the phone with that person that way.
Yeah.
And that's what Jesse was saying. Make sure you know all of our superpowers or anybody in your support line, because if you don't know them really well, like I learned something about somebody every single day. Like I was just at one of our agents' houses in Napomo, and we were talking, and he turns out to be an amazing artist. And I said, do you know Shane Penley. Shane Penley, for those of you that don't know, is a very famous artist. Not only does he do our video, but I found common ground there. That's what I'm trying to say. What do we have in common? What could we talk about? And that's three-way calls are everything.
Mike, I love that line, by the way. Instead of giving alternatives for a close, I always forget that. It's a really great way to wrap it up. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being I'm never coming and 10 being I'm coming, how likely do you think you are to switch, right? And then whatever they tell you, say, awesome. What do you think would make it an 8? If they say a 7, what would make it an 8 or a 9? And then you don't have to know how to handle it. That's the perfect segue to, you don't even have to send them back to the first person. You can send them to another person in the organization. We've had amazing results. This is how we're gonna wrap it up. We have had amazing results by going 3-way call after 3-way call after 3-way call. If you can get someone on 3 different 3-way calls in a week, they're coming to EXP. I'm telling you right now, okay? You can get them to watch a webinar 2 times in 24 hours, they're probably coming to EXP. You get them talking to 3 different people in your organization, like just keep bouncing around until they hear enough and they're like, okay, I love it. Like this is really is the real deal. So set a 3-way call, and then when that goes, send another person in your organization. Just keep having them talk to more people. You guys like this
One
stuff?
other script. It's so, Jesse, you're so good. I can't stand it. I'm sitting here on mute telling my wife I'm freaking in love with Jesse. But check this out. The other thing that I like to say when they say I want to think about it, it's no different than a listing appointment. It's zero difference. Sorry, Mike, I got a call. But when somebody says, I just want to think about it a little bit, I go, you know what? I read in a book one time by Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, 2 minds are better than 1. 3 is better than 2. It's called a mastermind. Let me help you with what you're thought about. Other than blank, is there any other reason you would join EXP? And then they'll give you the reason, what they're truly concerned about, like Jesse said. Well, I want to know more about how it impacts my agents. So always say that, 2 minds are better than 1. Let's think together. Or if they say, I want to pray on it, I grab their hands and say, let's pray. So you can't let them just think about it, because they're going to think themselves right out of it.
Right, and absolutely use that. But if they are a sales trained realtor, by the way, call out the fact that you're using a sales technique. It's funny. Yeah. It'll still work. But like go ahead, Mike.
I was going to say exactly what I say. I say, you know what? When I take listings and they say they want, this is what I say, and now I'm asking you the same question.
Yeah.
So it works perfectly. And they go, well, at least I learned how to take listings better now. And I say, see, that's what we're all about, is helping improving your business. What else can I help you with?
I love it. All right, I'm gonna end the recording here. Actually, I'm gonna let it roll for another few minutes, but has anyone got questions? We are officially at the end of the call. Thank you for joining us. I love you guys. I'm gonna hang for a few minutes and ask questions. Anyone got questions, things you want to clear up? That's why we do these things live.
Can you hear me, Jesse?
Yeah, hit me, Don.
Hey, I just want to say, same thing with Mike. When you came and did the presentation in the Batman outfit in my office, you probably said it was your worst presentation ever. And what you are doing today and your language and your confidence is I tell my wife, is amazing. Your recruiting and skills have improved tremendously, and it's great.
Thank you. We have video evidence, Don, of me doing a presentation to your team in a Batman costume at Halloween. And it's actually not even as bad as I thought it was when I watched it, Mike. Because it wasn't that bad, but it felt so uncomfortable. Anyway, don't ever do that, guys. Don't ever give an EXP presentation in a Batman costume. Not even at Halloween. Not even if someone tells you their entire team will be in costumes. Don't listen. They're dirty liars.
Were you not in costume? Oh.
Don was in a costume,
awesome. Thank you.
But only half his team was.
I was
not
in a
everybody.
costume. But not myself. It was hilarious.
They were not into it. They were not in the costume.
I think you were sweating so bad. It was awesome.
Oh, it was hot. I was in a neoprene suit in a warehouse. I was sweaty. Anyway, one of the questions thank you, Don. I appreciate the compliment, because I agree. I have learned a lot in a year and a half, and I am a very different recruiter.
Yeah, very excited.
It's all about confidence and excitement. That's all you need. What else you got? Any questions, guys?
I have a question. I got a question for you.
Let's do Yasmin and then Brian. Hold on, Brian. Go ahead, Yasmin.
Mine is probably pretty easy because I'm new. I'm actually not sure how to look up my support line. I'm not sure how to look up the levels. So
I don't think you can look it up. I'm just going to tell you who yours are, because I don't even know is there a way to look it up, but I'm going to tell you who yours are because you're sponsored to Krista.
Yeah.
So Krista's directly above you, Krista Mayshore. I sponsored Krista, so you're on my second level, and then above me are the people I listed earlier. So there's a whole call on Titanium agents. You should go back and watch it so you know who all these people are. Okay. Above me is Brent Conley, right? I'm going to type him into the box.
Yeah.
Brent Conley, and then Mike Bjorkman.
I know him because I got an email from him.
yeah, Mike Bjorkman, and then David Golden, and then Rosie Rodriguez. If you have anyone who speaks Spanish, by the way, because you're from Brazil though, right?
Yeah, I'm from Brazil, so I speak
I don't know if we
Portuguese,
know
but
any
I can speak
Portuguese.
Spanish too.
I don't know if we know any Portuguese speakers, but we do have Spanish speakers. So both David and Rosie are fluent in Spanish. Rosie Rodriguez. And then above Rosie is Rick Jiha. And above Rick is Brent Go. And by the way, we are creating template websites for those of you in our organization where I don't know how quickly we'll roll them out, but that will have all of the people above you, all their superpowers, who they are, so you can easily send someone to your site and be like, look who you get supported by. We're working on all this. It's just as quickly as I can get this stuff into production. Cool. Does that answer your question, Yasmin?
Awesome, thank you.
All right, Brian.
Yeah, I'm obviously brand new. It seems to me that the simpler the system is, the more effective people in the organization we're trying to grow, how more successful they can be, right? So I feel myself that a lot of this is coming at me like a fire hose. Can you?
Sorry, I muted myself. So I'm going to put a document. So this isn't for everybody, Brian. I made this as notes for myself, and it's going to be the outline for a course we're actually going to create in, like, you guys know, like Kajabi or those sites that drip training to you. Mike and I are working on a training course for agent attraction. Jay Kinder and Michael Reese have a really good one that's free, by the way, if you need one just to go through. I really like Michael Reese's agent attraction training course. I think it's literally agentattractiontraining.com. Agentattractiontraining.com. Yes, that's it. So agentattractiontraining.com, that's Jay Kinder and Michael Reese's. Short, sweet, free. I'd go through that one. And then Mike and I are making one that's also going to be free for you guys. But if you want to see my notes from it, aafaststartnotes.com. So to get on this call, it's aafaststart.com. You want to see the notes, aafaststartnotes.com. It's literally just a Google Doc. It's the way I organize myself for agent attraction. Mike's got a very different take on it. We're going to reconcile the two of them and make it into an actual course. But if you're drinking from a fire hose and you want simple things, it's a step-by-step document. And maybe at one of these calls in one of these weeks, I'll just go back. And I used to do it every single week, go through that document, but it got really boring for people. So maybe next week, Brian, or a week after, I'll go through that document with you top to finish, and or we'll do it on this call here. So for new people,
there's also on Brent Gove's website, there's that the first 30-day download as well. It's super simple.
I was just going to go there. That's
an agent attraction.
Yeah, so I know Brent Go. I mean, I know Brian really well. I know Brian's a detail guy. He wants the simple system, but he also wants the details. That's why I gave him this one. If you want a really simple agent attraction training, I'll put it on the screen here. This one. All right, so I'm on Brent Gove Resources, brentgoveresources.com. Brent's 4 simple steps to success. You want the simplest version of how to get started in agent attraction? This is the PDF. I'll put a link in the chat box here, but you know how to find it later. That is literally the simple system to do. It's make a list, call them, watch the model explain, get them on a 3-way call. This is 2 sheets of paper that explains everything you need. This is the simple system, Brian. Okay, so I'll put the chat link over here for that one. That's the long chat link, but you can get to it from Brent Gove Resources. And then there's videos on it on Brent Gove's system. So if you want to watch some initial videos that you love, back over here, screen share, 2 places you can go, and then we'll wrap this thing up. Rob Flick's got a 30-minute training. So again, I'm on Brent Gove Resources. I'm on the Agent Attraction page. I got Rob Flick's 30-minute video. But if you're going to watch a Rob Flick video, you really should watch the 90-minute video. It's incredible. Watch the Rob Flick 90-minute training video. Watch the How to Build Your Organization with Jake Kinder. And then over here, let's see here. Mike Bjorkman's got a boot camp video. So if you go to mikesvids.com, it'll take you to another list. We're going to organize all this stuff, but like, here's some videos that are Mike's favorites, Mike Bjorkman's favorite videos. You got other videos you can watch here. Mike's, first 30 days, boot camp, all that sort of good stuff.
Yeah, the boot camp video, mine is tagged, or what do you call that, pinned to the top of EXP Pros. So if you go to the Facebook group, EXP Pros, it's pinned to the top there. And it's also on Mike Bjorkman Training YouTube. And we're about ready to do our own EXP.
Yeah, your audio's cutting out, Mike.
Explain, so I'm super.
Your audio's
one other thing I want to.
I muted and his audio's cutting out too much. Mike, there you are. You're cutting out, buddy. Sorry. Anyway, those are your resources. So it's gonna feel like you're drinking from a fire hose. I know that. at least you know where to find me. Set up a call with me anytime. I'm happy to chat with you one-on-one. We do these calls. This week was a lot of like training. Next week, we usually like to leave 30 minutes of training, 30 minutes of like open Q&A to go through this stuff so you can really kind of mastermind and dial it in. Sound good, guys?
Sounds great.
All
And
right.
Jesse, one thing you mentioned about the indie brokers. One of the agents that were on my webinar that I did, he actually is an indie broker investor. So he has agents under him, and he has his own brokerage that he created just for investors. So I need to talk to you about that one. I might be handing you it off.
You have my cell number. Text me,
Yep.
call me. You want to book time on my calendar? Like, I always think all this stuff's time sensitive, right? So if it's time sensitive, I will make time early AM. I get up super early. You're in the East Coast. I'll get on a call with them at 5 AM any day. Like really, like 7 days a week, 5 AM, let me know. 5 AM California time, 8 AM your time. Not 5 AM your time.
Set it up for noon. That way you have time to wake up.
Yeah, 5 AM my time. I'll get on a call any day you want. I don't put that on my calendar as an option because I like to keep it as personal time, but whenever needed, I will happily jump on and do it.
Sounds good. Thank you.
No worries.
How's my audio now, Jesse?
Better.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
One of the other things that I wanted to bring up, not to brag, but from Jesse up our line, every single one of us are in the top 100 agents out of 31,000 agents at EXP. So keep that in mind as far as revenue share goes. From Jesse up, every one of us above us is in the top 100. So that's good edification.
Hold on. I'm going to do something for those of you who hung out this long. I'm going to stop the recording. Guys, have a wonderful week. If you like this webinar, check out other ones. We love you. I'm going to stop the recording. I'm going to stop